that's what's happened to like our society. That's how people get lost. So many people around and you're so lonely. If the system's broken down, the bands aren't around anymore. So we seek our own bands. But yeah,
Right. We seek our
um,
own groups, but most of our
yeah,
groups aren't as humongous as an entire community
yeah.
as we're speaking of an entire
Sure.
town. Um,
It's
it's
hard to
nice to
become
have
a
a little, if
community
you're
under.
living within a group of people, I think everybody likes to
Hmm?
be able to maintain some sort of anonymity and have a little bit
Ah,
of distance from other people just for privacy.
what? Okay, that sounds to me. That sounds counterintuitive. Because I'd
What?
say like if you make a small group of people, then you learn to trust them and become more intimate. If that group, if that small group, let's say it's a department of a company, and you know everybody on your floor or your department, and you kind of trust them, but they're part of X industries, then you kind of maybe keep them at arm's length. Is that what you're referring to?
No,
Maybe
I'm
don't
referring
reveal as
I'm
much
I'm
there.
just referring to my experience
Oh,
in all the
okay.
communities that I've lived in, and I'm not talking about working in. If we're talking about a corporation,
Ah,
you don't want intimacy at the office
well, see, yeah, you're right.
at any
Some
level,
people would
really. I mean,
say
you might
that.
have a friendship, but that might be it.
Right.
But I'm talking about the community. So, for
Okay. Yeah.
example, if I were to move
Oh,
into a community of, say, 400 people, I
yeah.
would know that there would be a lot of talk about the new
Mhm.
person that just moved into town. And so there is a lack of anonymity there because you probably
Mhm.
couldn't sneeze. I already lived in towns like that where you couldn't sneeze without everybody knowing everything about you. So you had to
Mhm.
watch everything that you said because you didn't want everybody to know everything that there was about you because you don't
You
know
didn't
anything
want to
about
see that.
them.
That one thing you did wrong, I'm gonna go, oh, did you see that? He does that all the
Yeah.
time.
Or did you hear what I heard? Um,
You can't drive. Just I
but
couldn't park once. Leave me alone.
if you're born into it, then that makes things a little bit different. Now, if we're
Yeah.
talking about
Oh,
communities in school, um,
that is interesting. Yeah. Let's talk
uh,
about communities and schools.
okay, let's talk about communities in schools, and then let's talk about the school community as opposed to the community it's serving.
I like what you're. Yeah. Okay.
Does that make
If
sense?
yeah, if you yeah, it does. Go on.
It's like, okay, because it's sort of like having a classroom of kids surrounding a giant petri dish. Um, the community at school, their goal is supposed to be to serve the students, correct?
Mhm. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was getting. Yeah, hearing you say yes.
Their job is to teach, instruct, and to serve the educational needs of the children so
Well,
that,
they're the community that you were speaking of in that latter part of
right,
your statement. Yes,
they
the
are the
kids, the
connection.
students. Hmm.
They're the connectors between each other, but also the information that the children need in order
Hmm.
to attain and be able to serve their community or their future community in a better fashion. So, when a child leaves each day, the community that served them that day should have helped them along the way to learn reading, writing, arithmetic, some science, some personal knowledge about themselves as far as,
Yeah.
learning about, because you always say you start locally, then you build out, then you build out, then you build out until you're global. So you have immediate, then your family, and then local and community and town, city, blah. So they're learning all about themselves and the world about themselves, but they also do that through math, reading and writing, and science. And social studies helps them understand some of the mechanics of what's happening. But have we gotten away from that? And have we gotten more into social engineering by trying to figure out just how much we can do in a classroom with that many kids, going back to Dunbar's number, so that we have a one size fits all in education? So these teachers are not necessarily considering the community outside and what those needs are, and how to connect with the community, bring them in, and thereby work with the community to help them use their resources to help amplify the needs, but also the talents and the skills of the children that are necessary for them to support their own community.
Question? Yes. That would be my answer. Yes. I think we were answering it when you were talking about how, or I was trying to clarify how you would expose yourself in a small community. You said, well, yeah, but I'm talking about at work. I'm not doing that. I'm not, maybe a friend, but I'm not getting intimate or close to anybody there. And that's what happens in schools. I think, yeah, they don't anything that resembles a school. The heck with that. They're not going to open up. They're not going to get vulnerable. They're going to have a friend or two. They're going to bear through it. They're going to do what they have to do.
Are you talking about the children, or are you talking about the
The
teachers?
children, the children. I
The
was talking
children, I
about the
think,
students.
for a lot
I
of
think they read
children,
it.
school is a huge social biome.
Absolutely, but for the purpose of learning,
Hmm.
it's an institution where you dare not show yourself. You try to become, if you're smart, you become the gray person. You're neither heralded or disciplined. You can just cruise right on through, not much notice. If you're a bad, if you're a troublemaker, you're just awkward. You try to stay as low a profile as possible. You've seen all those kids. They're like, hey, I'm just trying to do my 3 or 4 years here and get the heck out of Dodge.
Right.
And that's what you were saying too. It's like, yeah, at work, I'm just here for the paycheck. And, that's my incentive is to be paid for this. And it isn't, to go to the team functions and go, yay, team, and wear the t shirt on Friday, that sort
Well,
of thing.
I my thing with working at the school was they were much younger than I am.
Coworkers
So
or students? No.
this that
Coworkers. Yeah.
many of my coworkers I may have taught. I could have taught.
Mhm.
I can think of I could think of at least one who I very nearly taught junior English to.
Was that a
I can
problem?
think of several parents who I bumped into who did a double
Yeah.
take because I taught them. What I'm saying is that the school community does not function for the betterment of the school.
Mhm.
They have forced them into smaller communities to where there are alliances that are made. It's almost like a survivor project, right? They put them into these alliances where people work kind of with each other, but they also have, for better words, they have bitch sessions where all they do is they bemoan everything that's going on, but they're never
Yeah.
looking for solutions. And when a solution comes up, they always try to pick it apart so they don't have to accept it.
Well,
I
yeah.
even have administrators who do that.
That's
So,
that's what happens in schools when the numbers are great and they're institutionalized. They're bureaucracies for one thing.
right.
Schools will be. There's such a thing called the McDonald'ization, anyway, of
Okay,
workers.
good.
And what it is that we take a worker and we produce this burger and we produce it the same way every time, and we instruct our workers for efficiency and profit to do it that way every time. That's how we do things. And that is transferred to everything in our society as much as it can. And it's been transferred into teaching. with textbooks and pat curriculum and testing outcomes that are tested to. It's the McDonald'ization of, I can't say it. It's McDonaldizing, yeah. Anyway, the curriculum. It's making everybody do it for proficiency and profit. It's the most efficient way to do it. And not that I'm against being efficient. And I like a proficiency. These are positive aspects. But if those are my sole goals, if I can't accept that one kid's just not getting efficient quick enough, I can no longer make that burger. But the system keeps rolling burgers down the assembly line past the teachers, and they can't pay attention to the inevitable person. It's not a product. And that's kind of how it became. It's, well, we're producing graduates here. No, we're dealing with kids. We're dealing with students. We're dealing with God knows what they have in their lives. And we know they do. And no, they're not a product, and it's not efficient sometimes. Sometimes it's kind of inefficient because, half the relationship is sort of rebelling in a way. So anyway, it cheapens, I think,
But
teachers and what they do.